Hi, Kate. Thank you so much for joining us for a Corona conversation. Can I ask you to start by introducing yourself and telling people what you do for a job and where you are?
Cool. My name is Kate O Brien. I'm a nurse. I'm a general nurse, and I work in Camden Borough, working in the main drug service here at the Margaret Centre. But I work predominantly with rough sleepers or those in and out of hostels. So that's kind of my client group. But I'm actually a bloodborne virus nurse. So 50% of my role is going out doing bloodborne virus testing. I work alongside one of the nurses at the Royal Free. So we do Hep-C treatment for quite a chaotic group. Rough sleepers or those that are in hostels. We go around the hostels doing Hepatitis-C treatment for that client group very well, although that at the moment with COVID-19 is on hold. So yeah, it's like a two-part job. Half of it is I've got a caseload of about 20 clients, quite difficult, complex, mainly rough sleepers, and I work regularly with the outreach team just to engage with some very complex rough sleepers. Camden Borough has a really high percentage of rough sleepers with the train stations, Euston, King's Cross. So yeah. So
you're basically working smack in the middle in London with a difficult to engage group, but offering them life-saving treatment, which must be a rather nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah. Great.
So today is April the 28th, and we're kind of 4 to 6 to 8 weeks into lockdown, depending on where you are in the world. So far, what's been the impact of COVID on the client group you work with?
My client group, specifically the rough sleepers, it's been a massive impact.
Good or bad?
Sorry?
Good or bad?
Bad, but what it's done is brought a lot of this client group into drug treatment where they haven't come into drug treatment before. But it has been bad in that they've kind of, up until a few weeks ago, were the only people probably on the streets. They were out rough sleeping. I think they've not got great knowledge of what's going on. They don't have they don't read the newspaper. They are predominantly not in drug treatment, so they're 24/7 using drugs. That's their focus, and they've got kind of caught up. So everyone was indoors isolating, and these guys were stuck on the street.
So for people, if they weren't aware of what's going on, that must have been a bit like kind of like a zombie apocalypse, where one day they come in and it's like, where is everybody?
That's exactly what we've described it as zombie. It was like a George Romero film out on the Euston Road, and they were kind of staggering along. So a supply of drugs illicit drugs on the street has also been affected. So and not being able to make any money whatsoever. Predominantly, the rough sleepers are begging in Euston and King's Cross. Well, there's no to beg from anymore. The people, everyone's gone.
So the absence of funds and the absence of drugs has led a group who have never engaged with treatment to now come into treatment.
Yes. And it's nice to have them come in, and we're a really friendly team. I think their impression was that treatment's a bit authority, and they, the feedback we've had from these guys are, it's so different. You guys are really friendly. It's been a bit of a lifesaver for them as well, because they're running in like crawling, shouting, "I need a script." It has been a bit like that.
So I'm aware in the UK that one of the ways that treatment services have adapted to reduce physical distancing for those people on methadone and buprenorphine is to provide quite a lot of unsupervised doses. Yeah. But for people who are new to treatment, you're not going to send someone out on day 1 or day 2 with a couple 100 mils of methadone. So those people, I guess, are still having to come in and get some fairly close supervision.
And they're at our local pharmacies in Camden, and we use those 2 specifically that are excellent with this client group, or 3 actually. There's 3 of our chemists who see some really chaotic clients. So the chemists in the borough have responded really well. So those guys are going every day to pharmacy, and it's the pharmacists that actually are doing almost, all that hard work. So yeah, they're doing really, really well, and they're doing the distancing, the PPE outfits, So it's actually the pharmacists have responded brilliantly well, who are part of like our external team.
Excellent. So what's been the impact on people who are in treatment who drink, but also people who are just heavy street drinkers, who also will have reduced access to funds and maybe reduced access to alcohol? Have more people been turning up in alcohol withdrawal?
I've not actually seen that, no. Although we do have that group that are, using quite a lot of alcohol. I've not seen that. We do have a heavy amount of spice users, and it's affected the spice users more than, say, the alcohol clients.
Is that because there's less synthetic cannabinoids available now?
Yes, it's affected that market probably the most. I mean, Class A users are very much gang related. It's very organised in that it's gang related, selling Class A's. But spice, the supply of spice on the street is not wrapped up in gang use. It's usually spice addicts themselves selling to each other. The supply of spice is becomes so erratic, and that's slightly tricky in that the people, decline. Sorry, Adam.
That's okay. You're back.
Yeah, the guys that are using spice are usually heroin and crack users as well, but on a lower level. So without spice, they're drifting back to using much higher amounts of heroin and crack to compensate for the lack of spice. Physically, spice is so addictive. The withdrawals are horrible, very, very horrible. So yeah, that's erratic. What I'm hearing is that one day they can get spice, but then 3 days they can't get spice. Then one day they can get it, then 3 days they can't. So it's been a nightmare for a lot of our heavy spice users.
And for people who may be dipping in and out of heroin use to compensate for no synthetic cannabis products, that's obviously a huge risk for overdose.
Yeah, they have been a bit of a worry for me, those guys that are heavy spice users, because they're having to lean onto, exactly like you say, heroin's probably the best drug to use if you're not going to have spice, and they already have that in the background anyway. So yes, they are increasing, be it illicit heroin or illicit pregabalin or those kind of drugs to compensate.
I just have to put a medical disclaimer in that I don't think heroin as a treatment for synthetic cannabis withdrawal is hugely risky. And while I understand it may dampen some of those symptoms, I think, yeah, it would. I mean, heroin would probably be the most risky.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I'd much rather people were, you know, maybe taking 10 milligrams of Valium or, you know, even a glass of beer. Because
if they can't get spice and they're out and they're running around and they're rough sleep, find the group that's out going to score Class A, so they'll use heroin. You know, they'll be physically their stomachs, it affects their stomachs, it makes them very agitated, it makes them, they can't eat. So they'll take anything that will help and alleviate that. It can be a bit erratic buying illicit benzos on the street, but it's not erratic buying heroin. It's there all the time, 24/7. Yeah.
So I just want to ask you about how services have responded. So you've spoken about, you know, treatment being available to people who've never engaged, pharmacists stepping up, PPE being friendly and engaging. Has there been an effort to remove rough sleepers off the street and give them a roof over their head so they can store their methadone safely and at least sleep safely at night?
Yeah, there's been a massive effort now in Camden. I think it came a little bit late, but the amazing effort by the outreach team. I think it was at the weekend. There was one weekend where the government just announced that every outreach team had the weekend to put everyone indoors, which is a little bit wow. But there's been a massive effort here and everybody is going indoors. The ones left on the street, there are few and far between. And I've got to really praise the outreach team in Camden for their effort. I know their staff are working round the clock putting people indoors. So they managed to get access to hotel, bed and breakfast. They were first putting rough sleepers in there, which is not ideal, but it works for some. And then there's been a massive effort to put people into the hostels where there's beds free up. And there's a lot of movement, basically. Rough sleepers going into either hotels or existing hostels. There's also an actual COVID hotel for clients that have been deemed as high risk. And that's an amazing effort by one of the homeless services who are running the hotel and the outreach teams. So we've had a lot of clients move into there. There's a massive effort. There's not that many people left back on the street rough sleeping. And if there are, there's plans for them. Yes, it's been an amazing effort.
It is amazing.
Yeah, and like what you say, we've worked alongside the outreach team because they don't want to put clients in hostels that are still using, like you say, injecting heroin and crack and being dumped into a hotel is not good. So the outreach team almost here daily, bringing in people for scripting and fast track scripting. So that's exactly what's been happening over the last few weeks.
I mean, I guess one of the problems of bringing people into hotels is although they obviously have basic, you know, sanitation and can wash their hands and things, it might lead to more people injecting on their own and therefore a higher risk of overdose. So have you been doing an extra push out on naloxone?
Yes, I would say we have. I think there was a request from all the hostels for extra supplies. So another service here in Camden was dropping supplies into all the hostels itself. Yes, we do. We have naloxone here on site all the time. We offer it at the point of triage, we offer it at the point of first assessment, and we offer it throughout their whole treatment. So yes, I think we're all proactive. We have a lot of prison cases. The prisons are threatening to keep putting people out because trying to get them out of the prisons. They're always priority for naloxone provision. So yeah, I think a little bit more than normal, yes.
So 2 last questions. So one quickly relates to your core job of Hep C treatment. For people who are currently receiving Hep C treatment, have you been able to continue that?
Yeah, we had a few. I work very closely with the sort of North Central London. So I work mainly with the Royal Free, but also with Mortimer Market with Dr. Gosh. And we had lots of names lined up, ready to start. And we kind of very early on were like, they stopped. It was like put on hold. My part of my role is I go out once a week to see clients in the hospital and give them 7-day doses of Hep C medication. At the time of when the COVID thing was announced, I think I had 2 on Hep C treatment. So one finished, and the other one, the hospital were very, very good in that I gave them a month of medication. The hospital helped me do basically prompt her, and we've not started anyone new. So that's on hold until, because otherwise it's me going in the hospitals and going round and round, and that's not what we should be doing. So yeah, that's on hold, and we just had the 2 people on treatment. We didn't stop their treatment, we just continued. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Your picture's frozen, but your audio is fine, so no worries. My final question is this. Clearly, the crisis has suddenly led to a whole bunch of things being done that people previously would have thought were impossible. Like, you know, rough sleeping on the streets of London is impossible. We can't get people off. It's like, yes, you can. We could never engage people like this in treatment. Yes, you can. So my question to you is this. In 12 months' time, when hopefully life is returning to some sort of normal, which of the changes that you've seen happen now do you hope are still going to be in place?
I don't know. I can't really comment on the homeless. I don't work in a homelessness sector. So I know homeless services were, they were told to ignore, like, no recourse. We've got clients who have gone into hotels and hostels who've got no recourse to public funds. So that won't change. They won't have access to the housing benefit element of what would be in a hostel. There's also, we have the local connection, which I dislike because it's one of the biggest causes of rough sleeping, and that you have to have a connection for your borough. We have clients from all over that are being targeted and put in hostels and hotels, and I don't think there's much question about the connection. We're not looking at that anymore. So, but they're very political. They're to do with homelessness, the government issue, and I don't think they will change. In terms of drug treatment, we're very flexible here anyway. There isn't, you know, we're not waiting. If people come in for a triage, they're only going to be waiting for a few days for drug treatment. The fast track we've done is that people are just walking in, we're doing the treatment there and then. We're not even doing triage. It's just very quick and fast track. So
there will be people watching this who will find the idea of being able to get treatment on the same day as an Alice in Wonderland scenario, where very often there will be, you know, I mean, there's places in parts of the UK where you'll be waiting weeks and months. So I think being able to maintain easy access and making it really friendly. I mean, I think lots of people who work in treatment services talk about, oh, well, the difficulty is engaging this chaotic client group. And I remember listening to someone who turned around and went, it's being framed wrong. You can't expect a group of people who have few resources to fit in with the rigid structures of clinical services. Clinical services need to be more flexible in order to make it easier for that group to come in. So it's not so much that the client group is chaotic as such, but it's that services aren't flexible enough. And clearly, we're being much more flexible now than we've ever been. And it's bringing people who have never been in treatment into life-saving treatment. Like that's...
Yeah. We've always been very flexible here. I've got to say, we've got one of the best consultants in London.
I know John Dunn is very good, and yeah, we can't clone John. You know?
And he's always had a very flexible approach. He's always looked at how, you know, and especially with rough sleepers, these fixed appointments, they have to come in, they have to have their doc's assessments, of course, but he's always had a very flexible approach. So without COVID, we would have a triage, and then you come back in a couple of days' time, see a doctor and start in treatment. what we have is a quite high DNA rate because clients can't adhere to that turning up for this booked appointment. So we've done, after a few missed appointments, we're like, right, just drop in there. And then if you drop in and there's a doctor here, we'll see you. So we've already had a really flexible approach to a client group that can be not living by the clock. So yeah, I think we've always tried to do same day treatment to a degree. And where possible, and certainly if we've got people we've got a high DNA rate, if you turn up and the person's DNA'd, I know our doctors are very flexible. They'll see you. They will just see you rather than sitting. Yeah, I think we do.
Drug treatment should be like takeaway restaurants. You turn up, you give your order, and they prepare your food. You know, Kate, thank you so much for sharing what honestly to me sounds like a really positive experience of engaging a really difficult group and getting them into treatment at a time where they need it, getting them a roof over their head. So, you know, I mean, COVID shit, whichever way you look at it, but the outcome for that client group potentially could be better than it would have been. So, yeah, so thank you and the guys in Camden, Islington for all you're doing.
Very passionate about my rough sleepers, so I hope this will help rough sleepers in the future. It has given we've got some cases of rough sleepers who've been known to services for years. They've never gone indoors, they've never engaged in services. And they've, all of a sudden they're staying indoors where they've been based, they're coming into treatment and it's good. And they're like, oh God, you guys are actually really friendly. It's like, yeah. So yeah, I hope that will carry on, I hope, after COVID is gone.
I think you're right. We probably need to do a bit of kind of good PR on the fact that people who work in drug treatment aren't necessarily, ogres. I mean, look, some of us are very nice, some of us aren't. It's like, you know what? Treatment ain't like McDonald's, but it's better for your health. On that note, Kate, thank you so much. Stay safe, and I'll let you know when it's up.
Cheers. Thank you. Take care.
Cheers, Kate. Bye.
And so the question that you chose to ask, will it be better where we're going? And though the answer I don't know for a fact, still my heart is saying, oh yeah.
Still just taking it one day at a time. Still don't know what I'm trying to find. Really I don't mind, cause I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be fine. Yeah. No longer focused on yesterday, and I don't care, the rest will say whatever they want, what's left to say, what's left to say. Cause I'm leaving